Should it have taken so long to bring national attention to this devastation? Michael Brown was the FEMA director during Katrina, and he joins us now. It did take a while for it to sink in how bad this really was, right?
It did, Stuart, but that's not unusual in a flooding situation because it's relatively hard for the media to get a grasp on how bad floods are because you can't get on the ground in front of a house and show the flooding. So to some degree, I want to defend President Obama for not going down during the response phase. That's when you're trying to get people off rooftops. That's when you're trying to get people out of harm's way. Now, he could have gone to Louis Armstrong International Airport in New Orleans and made a statement there, or at the very least, what he should have done, in my opinion, is he should have walked off the golf course, gone to some office somewhere on Martha's Vineyard, and talked to the people of Louisiana and assured them that he was sending Craig Fugate, he was sending Secretary Johnson, and that FEMA was going to do what it could do. The other thing I think we've kind of lost sight of in this entire disaster is how good the state of Louisiana, the Louisiana National Guard, did in rescuing almost 20,000 people during this disaster. So on the one hand, yes, the president kind of botched it by not at least making a public appearance and instead only photo ops on the golf course, but also now is the time because you're now in a recovery phase and it's much easier, as Kevin Corke pointed out, to move that entire apparatus into the disaster area.
Now, you have experience on when a president should visit a disaster area. There is another disaster taking place in America at the moment in Southern California with a dreadful fire. 82,000
Yes.
people put out of their homes because of that fire. In your opinion,
Yes.
should the president go there as well?
Well, here's the problem that I have. It depends on whether or not that disaster is being handled well and whether or not the federal resources that need to be there are there and is the state doing what it needs to do. Because again, going back to Kevin's report, when a president comes in with the Secret Service, Air Force One and everything, I can just tell you from experience, it is a massive logistical nightmare. But what drives me crazy is this, is the ignoring of the fact that in California, you have 80,000 people that have been evacuated. You have wildfires that have grown now to 50 square miles, almost, in fact, the size of San Bernardino, and it's not getting the media attention, or the president hasn't said anything about this. I'm not saying that the president should go to every disaster that occurs in the United States, but when something's that big, 80,000 people have been evacuated, it's good to hear from the president. Go to the Oval Office, go somewhere and make a statement that says, and 2 points about what the president says. One, to the people in that disaster, we understand your plight, we're doing what we can, and to also say, because this is the reason I asked President Bush to land in Baton Rouge and not New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina. The president needs to make sure that the entire cabinet, that all of the departments and agencies of the federal government know that if the FEMA director asks for anything, by Dan, give it to him.
Got it.
Because that person is there on behalf of the president.
Michael Brown, former FEMA director, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet, Stuart.
And then we